Okay, friends, welcome, welcome. Bring yourself up to standing, and you're welcome to have your feet on parallel at hip bone distance, or if you want to practice with your big toes together and some space between your heels, that works as well. Once you've got your stance, you can close your eyes, and then just take an inhale to bring your shoulder heads high up towards your ears, and on your exhale, just roll your shoulders down away from the ears on the back. Release the weight of your arms. And then we'll do a breath warm-up exercise. It's called Dirga Swasam Pranayama. It's a 3-part breath. So just begin by releasing your air all the way down to empty. From the bottom of the breath, breathe into the low belly for 1, 2, 3, and hold. And then breathe into the mid-abdomen for 1, 2, 3, and hold. Fill all the way up to your chest, all the way to your shoulders. Once you've got the full breath, just hold and relax. And then on your exhale, like you're quieting a child, we'll find Ujjayi breathing. So slow, deep inhales through the nose, just like you're sipping the air in through a straw, filling from the bottom to the middle, all the way up to the top. And when those exhales come around, using the muscles in the back of your throat like you were fogging up a mirror to release back out through the nose. Ujjayi breath provides us a sound that we can hone in on. It's a sound like ocean waves or a sound like hollow wind. And just as we start to practice our breathing, an action that our body automatically does during the course of the day, we engage in mindfulness. And as we pair the breath with these movements, with these poses, with the flows, then we create that mindful, moving meditation. So as always, just take what works for me, leave the rest behind, and let your breath be your guide. Eyes come open to a soft gaze up front. We'll inhale to stretch and reach up tall into mountain Tadasana. And then when your exhale comes, just hinge out from your hips and take a swan dive down into your forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale halfway up. We're going to be here for a couple rounds of breath. So slight bend in the knees. You're either pressing to your shins or to your thighs. And then your spine is parallel to the ground, and your shoulder blades are toning in towards one another. Gaze is to the earth. Crown of the head is reaching forward. So it is a spine extension, but it's also a really big strengthening around the spine. On the next exhale, just release all of that forward. Bend your knees as much as you need to get your fingertips to the ground, and then give your head a slow nod yes. Take a slow side-to-side nod no, releasing the weight of the head completely. And then just move your right fingers just more into the center, and we're going to extend your left arm up in space as you bend into your right knee. You could also go to your right fist or your right palm as well. Left arm is reaching up tall, and as you bend into your right knee, you're extending your left leg. So you want to feel the stretch more in your left leg. So bend in the right knee and then push down through your left. And feel that stretch along the back corner of your left leg, all the way up into your hip. When your next exhale comes, you can just bring the arm down, it's up, and we're going to switch things out. So move the left hand more to the center, fingertips, fist, or palm. And then as you reach the right arm up in space, bend into your left knee, and then extend into your right leg. Push down into that right heel. Push down into the outside edge of your right foot. Gaze is shifting over towards the right side of the room. Shoulders stacking, and then that breath, those inhales and those exhales. Just find one more inhale to extend and reach your right arm up tall in space, and on the exhale, fold forward. And vertebrae by vertebrae, wind up to standing, letting your head be the very last piece that stacks up. Once the head stacks up, we can inhale to reach the arms back up tall into mountain. And on the exhale, cactus your arms open. Squeeze your shoulder blades in. Have a little bend into the knees. And then start to lift up through your chest, just taking a baby back bend. Feeling all that support behind you. Nice. On an inhale, we can extend back up tall, Tadasana mountain. And on your exhale, just hinge out from your hips and control your swan dive to your forward fold. Take that inhale halfway up, lengthen through your spine, strengthen around it. And then we'll step back into plank and lower into tabletop. Once in your tabletop, to warm up your wrists, you can turn the insides of your wrists to face the front of the room. So your thumbs are pointing to the sides, fingers are pointing backwards. And you could just lean left or right or back and forth. It's really up to you. My favorite is where you lean back in space and peel your hands off the mat to your fingertips and then just gently rock back forward until your palms root back down. And I'll end up doing that a few times. You're just warming up the wrists, warming up the palm, warming up the forearms. Staying with your breathing. If you'd like, take the back of your hands down to the ground, and fingers can point towards one another or towards the back of the room. You do not need that much pressure to massage the back of the wrists, to massage the back of the hands here. And then we'll come into hero's pose, so tops of the feet to the mat, sit bones back to your heels, and use this just to roll your wrists out in space, to work through your fingers. And before we go into a plank, we can come back into our tabletop and start to work cat and cow. And this is totally at your own pace, in your own style. So inhales could lift you up into cow, dropping the belly, lifting through the chest, lifting through the tailbone. Exhales could take you to cat, dropping the head, mid-back high, tailbone releasing. You might take a little more time in one before you move on to the next. You also might choose to rock a little forwards and backwards or push out to the sides here. Allow your breath to lead the way for your movements. Perfect, and then we'll meet up in a plank position when you're ready. So just stepping the feet to the back of your mat, palms underneath your shoulders, micro bend the elbows rather than locking the elbows, biceps toned into center line. And then stay on your toes as we do some push-ups or drop to your knees and cross your ankles. These are at your own pace. Your exhale simply brings you halfway down, leading with the sternum. And then the inhale brings you back up to the top. Whether you're on toes or whether you are on your knees, you want to avoid bending the hips here. So keep that plank in place. Find one more of those from wherever you're at. And then lower all the way down to your belly for Bhujangasana, low cobra, tops of the feet to the mat. Palms slide a little lower to frame the mid-ribs, elbows in space. Squeeze the elbows together so tips of the shoulder blades are coming together. And then draw the chest off the ground, creating length in the back of the neck. And I want you to think about that the strength of this pose is not coming from you pushing to the ground. In fact, take your palms and float them just a little bit off the ground. This are the snake muscles in the body, right? Your core muscles, your back muscles. If your palms are off the ground right now, floating, just take this back into locust pose. Reach your arms behind you and now lift your thighs up off the ground. So you're just flying through space, Salabhasana. Find the length through the back of the neck. Your elbows could bend slightly and lift up in space. And this reminds me, if any of you have done any surfing, just when we're on that surfboard and you're trying to lift and look about what's in front of you, we have that similar thing here. Just you don't need to strain your chin up, right? Lifting through the back of the neck. Next exhale brings you down in space, and to make your way to down dog, you can move through tabletop or you can move through your plank. When you arrive in Adho Mukha Svanasana, down dog, feel free just to walk the dog out, drop the weight to one heel while you bend through the opposite knee. And as you start to hold your down dog, your hands are just a little bit wider than shoulder distance. Elbows, again, micro bent rather than locked. biceps toned in like you're holding that beach ball, gripping a beach ball between your biceps, weight of the head released. And then the lift of your hips to pull back and up in space. A lot of that with the core lifting up. And then from those hips drawing back and up, you start to find that extension of the heels down towards the earth behind you. Beautiful. Inhale, right leg up to three-legged downward facing dog, Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Press back through your right heel or press back through the ball of the foot. And think about a nice diagonal line where the front of your right hip bone is pointing down and back. Beautiful, friends. On an exhale, just work the foot up between your hands. We're in a low lunge position. We'll take it to kneeling lunge. Your back knee will drop down. Feel free to fold the side of your yoga mat in for that back left knee if you want an additional layer of cushioning. And then we can bring the hands up onto our right thigh, press into the right thigh to lift up through the chest, and start to establish the strength in your legs. So you're pushing down into that right heel. You're also toning your thighs in towards center line, and then your right glute is pulling back up away, is engaged and pulling back up away. With that base, we could extend and reach the arms up nice and tall in space. And with your arms, if we can get the pinkies to point forward, thumbs to point backwards, it lines up the shoulders so you can relax the shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back, tone the shoulders in, and then you might even take a little baby back bend, right? Lifting up through your chest slightly as the arms extend. On your next exhale, friends, we're going to bring the hands back down to the mats and work into warrior two. So if your mat's folded in, unfold it. Find that low lunge position with back knee lifted, and then drop knife edge of the left foot to the ground. Left arm comes backward, right arm comes forward. If you like to warm up your warrior two with your hands at hips or low back, feel free to do that. Think about your heels in one line with one another from the front of the mat to the back. So if there was a line, you're kind of running down almost, the center or the side, that'd be where your heels are lined up. And then as we press down into the individual legs, you want to feel the tone in that back leg, pressing down into the left leg, tone in your right leg. The thighs are drawing in. And then we're just extending the arms and relaxing the shoulder heads, gazing forward and breathing. Nice. Take one more inhale into your warrior two. And then when your exhale comes, just find extended side angle pose. So right forearm can root down into your right thigh as left arm draws up in space. You could also reach the right arm down the inside of the right leg if you'd like to take it like that, where you're pressing the back of the hand to the inside of the ankle, back of the elbow, inside of the knee. Either way, we want to make sure that we're not resting into our right side body or collapsing into it. We're strengthening our inner right side body to lift up through that left arm. Stay with your breath. Nice. Inhale to rise into warrior two, but you can lengthen out your right leg in preparation for triangle. And then on an exhale, reach as far forward as you can and then tilt down. If you're working with a block, maybe take it on the outside of your right ankle to level 1, 2, or 3. If you just got your hand and your fingers aren't going to the ground, you can go right onto your shin, anywhere along your right shin. Or you might take those fingertips, fist, or palm down to the earth on the outside of the ankle. Awesome. Reach that left arm up nice and tall in space so you're reaching through your wingspan. And then feel the shoulders stacking, left shoulder over your right. Pretend there's a wall behind you, and you're pressing that upper left shoulder back into the wall. Your right shoulder's already touching it. Rather than your right knee locked, just a micro bend in the right knee so the muscles engage around the joint rather than slack around the joint. And then on your inhale, just bring it back up into warrior two. Turn your right palm to the sky, and as you exhale, reverse that warrior, sweeping right arm up and back in space. Left hand can go to your hip, to your thigh, wrap behind you. Just bring that right knee right over your heel, reach up tall, relax your back left shoulder away from your left ear. And gaze where it feels most comfortable to you, maybe up in space or to the left side of the room or back down to your left foot. If you came out of your lunge for the last round of breath or so, just come a little bit deeper back into it, right knee back over your heel. Awesome, friends. Breathe into it. And then when your exhale comes, just cartwheel your hands down into a low lunge position. And we're going to take low lunge into standing split. So your fingertips are to the ground, right foot's to the ground. Then lift your left leg up. You can stay on your fingertips or go to your fists or go to your palms. But I want you to actively press into your fingertips, fists, or palms as if you were going to press the weight of your body all the way up to like a handstand. Relax the weight of your head. Maybe give your chin a little side-to-side movement here. You want to be looking to the back of the room, not down to the ground. If this is a forward fold, a standing forward fold with back leg lifted. And it's a combination, again, of lifting that back left leg up in space and pushing it. Stay with the breath. One more inhale extends up, and then just a forward fold on the exhale. So left foot meets the right up at the top of your mat. Inhale takes us halfway to Ardha Uttanasana, that lift, that extension, and that strengthening around the spine. Refold, hold navel to spine at empty, and then reverse swan dive, pressing into the floor as you sweep arms wide and tall. Breathe in. And when your exhale comes, cactus the arms open to the baby back bend. Inhale to reach up back into Tadasana Mountain. And then we'll take a version of chair. It's a flying chair on your exhale where you're on the balls of your feet and your heels are lifted. And then the shoulders and the arms are very similar how they were when we were in locust pose, where the shoulder blades are toning in and then elbows are just bending just a little bit to extend up and back. And rather than dumping weight into the knees, right, we want to find the strength of your lower legs, upper legs, all the way to your glutes, all the way into your core. Fantastic. Drop your right heel to the ground. Inhale brings your arms and your left knee up into a one-legged mountain. And then immediately when I'm going to one foot, I'm zeroing in my gaze on something in front of me. So find something in front of you that's not moving. Beautiful, friends. You stay right here, or if you want to swim this into Dakasana airplane, we'll dive our left leg back in space, and then reach our arms back in space. And again, super similar to that locust pose, finding that length through the back of your neck. Gaze slightly forward out the top of the eyes. Okay, and then when you're ready, we're just going to release that back into a high crescent lunge rather. So just drop the ball of the left foot behind you. Inhale to reach your arms up nice and tall in space. So we took this from kneeling earlier, just finding that right here. Back left heel lifting off the ground, thighs pulling into one another, and then finding that strength right up through center. Breathe in here, and as you exhale, we'll take the hands down to frame the right foot. Step back into plank. And then your choice of how you want to take your vinyasa, your flow. You could go directly to down dog. You could come halfway down to Chaturanga Dandasana. You could go low cobra again, or upward facing dog to the tops of the feet, pressing into the palms, suspending the body weight in this back bend, and then making your way back into your down dog. Take a couple rounds of breath in that down dog, and then we're going to work into our left side. You're doing awesome. On an inhale, left leg pulls back and up, three-legged down dog. Again, think about that diagonal line from the hands all the way back and up through your foot. Front of your left hip bone pointing down and back in space. If you open scissors if you open a pair of scissors up, the blades don't start to face different directions, right? They're facing the same directions as they open up. Next exhale, just bring the left foot up in between your hands. Find that low lunge position. And then we're going into our kneeling lunge, so we can drop the right knee. If you want more cushioning, just fold the right side of the mat in. Start to establish that strength in your legs. You could stage your hands onto your left thigh. So you're feeling that press down and out, and then that hug back into center at the same time. We stabilize in the lower body, and then find the lift of the upper body right here. Pinkies can come forward, thumbs back. Insides of biceps turning into frame one another. Again, maybe there's a little bit of that baby back bend going on here, the gaze coming up. And then on an exhale, you can just bring your hands back down, and we'll create a low lunge. So if you got the mat folded, unfold it. back knee off the mat. And then for Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, we can drop the knife edge of that right foot to the ground and then start to work into the shape on this side. And again, think about that stabilizing going on through your legs, going on through the lower body right here, right? That press down and out, that hug back and in, all at the same time. And then letting your spine come directly up from center and gazing out over your fingertips. When the next exhale rolls in, find extended side angle pose, bringing your left forearm, left thigh, or whatever variation you took on the other side. Finding strength, supporting your body in the pose. If your back right hip is lifting up in space, lower that right hip back on level with your left. So your inhale pulls back up to Warrior 2, but in preparation for triangle, you'll straighten out the left leg, and then when your exhale comes, reach as far forward as you can. And then, again, block on the outside of the left ankle, fingertips, fist, or palm to the ground, or a hand to your shin, or whatever you're working with here. Think about still stabilizing through your legs. So rather than locking that left knee as you lengthen the left leg, just a micro bend in it so we can really get the muscles engaged around it. Choose where your gaze is going. Is it going to the right side of the room? Is it turning up where your right fingertips are reaching? Spine is a crossbar here, parallel to the ground. And we're finding that strength to support the spine in that crossbar position. On the inhale, just come back up into your Warrior 2, and then reverse your Warrior on your exhale. So sweeping the left arm up and back in space, right hand to the hip, thigh, or behind you. Again, consciously placing your gaze, whether you're going up to the right side or back down to your right foot. Giving yourself that stationary gaze just to draw focus back into your breath, to draw focus back into your body. Breathe in here, and then when your exhale comes, just cartwheel your hands down to your low lunge position. And we're using low lunge to take the weight to the left foot, to the fingers, and lifting the right leg up into standing splits. So a standing forward fold on your left leg. And again, release the weight of that head. Release the weight of the head. Look back behind you in space. Crown of the head reaching down. Press into the fingertips, or maybe it's your fists, or maybe it's your palms, to like you were lifting yourself up into a handstand. Take one more inhale to lift back up through your leg, and then we're doing a full forward fold at the top of the mat on the exhale. Right foot meets the left. Your inhale brings you halfway up, lengthen the spine, strengthen Ardha Uttanasana. On that exhale, refold. Hold navel to spine empty and reverse swan dive, pressing into the floor as you inhale the arms up nice and tall. Exhale, cactus open, baby back bend. The inhale brings us back up into our Tadasana mountain. And on the exhale, we're taking that chair, Utkatasana, but we're doing a flying version of it with your heels lifted on the balls of your feet. And that shape with the arms that, again, we explored when we were on our bellies and we were in locust pose, or that we will find in a moment when we come into airplane. Drop your left heel. Inhale brings your arms, your right knee up in space, one-legged mountain. Again, find that spot in front of you where you can fix your gaze. And feel, if you had both feet to the ground, how it would feel to stand nice and strong. We're bringing that into play right here as we lift up through that right leg. So it's like you're lifting up through your right thigh and then pulling back in. On an exhale, friends, swim back into your airplane. So your right leg reaches back in space. Arms fly back. Let your elbows lift just slightly. Tone your shoulders in. Find the length through the back of your neck so your gaze is coming right out of the top of your eyes forward to the front of the room. If you fall out of it, no worries. And then an inhale can bring us to high lunge, so that the ball of the right foot plants to the back of the mat, thighs pull in, back heel is drawing forward, arms extend up nice and tall. Focusing the gaze and focusing the breath. When the exhale comes, take your low lunge position, step back to your plank on your inhale, and then your choice of how you're going to flow to down dog, right? So maybe go directly into it. Maybe find your half push-up, low cobra, maybe your upward facing dog. Back to our down dog. So we're going to move into the breath to movement portion of class where we take that flow that we just did, and one inhale brings us into one pose, and then the exhale brings us into the next. We'll start by inhaling to reach the right leg back up tall, three-legged downward facing dog. On the exhale, step up into your low lunge. Drop the back left knee. Inhale, reach your arms up as you stabilize through the legs. Kneeling lunge. Exhale, low lunge, back knee lifts. Inhale, warrior two, so knife edge of the left foot to the ground, left arm back, right arm forward. And then exhale to your extended side angle pose. Inhale back to warrior two, but straighten out the right leg. And as you exhale, dive into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Inhale reverses your warrior, so sweep up through the right arm. Exhale, come down into our low lunge position. Inhale, standing splits, left leg lifts, gazes to the back wall, push to your fingers. Exhale, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway up, strengthen and lengthen the spine. Exhale, refold. Reverse swan dive. Inhale, reach up, mountain. And then exhale, cactus open, baby back bend. Nice. Inhale, reach back up, mountain. And on your exhale, our flying chair. So lift the heels, send the arms back. Nice. Drop your right heel. Inhale, arms and left knee lift up, one-legged mountain. And as you exhale, take it all the way back into your airplane. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Ball the left foot back. Squeeze the thighs in as you lift arms. Exhale to our low lunge. Nice. Your inhale's at plank, and then your choice of how you make your way to down dog. All right. So we'll work into the left side. Inhale takes your left leg up, three-legged down dog. And on your exhale, just step up into your low lunge position. Drop the back right knee. Inhale, rise up to your kneeling lunge. And then on the exhale, bring it back down into a low lunge, so back knee comes off the ground. Inhale is warrior two. And on the exhale, find that extended side angle pose. Inhale, warrior two, but lengthen out your left leg for triangle. And then exhale, take your triangle. Inhale, reverse your warrior, so sweep back and up through that left arm. And then exhale, cartwheel down into your low lunge. Inhale, right leg lifts up, standing splits, gaze is behind us. Exhale, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, refold, hold navel to spine at empty and reverse swan dive, inhaling wide and tall. Exhale, cactus open, baby back bend. Inhale, back up into our mountain, gaze is forward. And then exhale to your flying chair. Find the strength around your knees as we put the weight to them. Drop your left heel, inhale, arms and right knee or leg up, one-legged mountain. And as you exhale, swim back into your airplane. Inhale, high crescent lunge. Just land the ball of the right foot behind you. Stabilize the legs as you lift arms. And exhale down to low lunge. Your inhale is a plank, and then again, it's up to you. Choose your own adventure back to down dog. From down dog, friends, our meetup is in child's pose. You can go to your tabletop. Take your knees out wide towards the edges of your mat. Big toes together, tops of the feet to the earth. Sit bones towards your heels. Forehead down to the ground, arms out in front of you. And in Malasana, just find those inhales, find those exhales. Awesome. So from your child's pose, we will end up making our way onto our backs, but as you come first to your sit bones with your legs forward, if you want to grab a drink of water, it's a good time to grab a drink of water. And then when you are ready for it, we'll bring the weight back down onto the back. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Wrap your arms around your knees and just give yourself a little side to side. We're going to do some core work. So send your legs straight up in space. Reach your arms back behind you. Breathe in, and as you exhale, lift head and shoulders off the ground as arms go up and gazes forward. And that's a movement I want you to take. Inhale, relaxes head and shoulders with the arms back. Exhale, lifts head and shoulders, gaze forward, arms go up. And we will do a hold in just a little bit here. So just find one more. And then when you reach up to the top, we're going to hold. And if your neck needs support, take one hand back behind the base of the skull. Feel that flexion through the core muscles. Breathe. Low back is rooted. Shoulders and head are lifted. And then we'll take a few more on the movement and then take a rest. So inhales, relax head. Exhales, lift. Last one. Nice. And then find reclined cobbler's pose. So bottoms of feet together. Knees are wide. Supta Baddha Konasana. Reclined bound angle. Relax the arms where it feels comfortable to you. Close your eyes and find that breath. All right, friends, so we're going to meet up in a reverse tabletop. So hands can go behind the base of your skull. Lift the head and shoulders off the ground. Elbows go wide, and then your knees are bent at 90, so they're stacked above your hips. Bottoms of the feet are forward. So we'll come back to this in just a second, but extend your legs out to a diagonal. Hug your low back, press your low back to the ground. So your movement, inhale, knees in, and then exhale your legs up and down to that same diagonal. And that's your movement, in, up, and down with your breath. Okay, and then the next time that you lower, we'll hold the legs out on that diagonal. Low back is rooted into the ground. Check, you're not holding your breath, right? Use your breath. Okay, and then a few more of those, like 3 more of those in up and downs. Nice, maybe last one right here. And then you can find a full morning stretch. Or if you want to bring knees in towards you and wrap your arms around your knees and rock, you could do that. Nice breathing. Okay, so last core one we'll do is from Navasana, boat pose. So you can grab onto your hamstrings. You could rock one time or you could rock several times back and forth from the base of the skull all the way up to your sit bones. And eventually we will make our way up to our sit bones. And if you're not familiar with boat pose Navasana, a great way to start is with your heels planted and then grabbing your hamstrings and finding that length up through your spine and then lifting the heels off the ground. The movement we'll do are rows. So you cross your ankles, you keep that shape, and then you grab your paddle and you're going to start to twist to the left and to the right. There's not a right or wrong way to work the breath into this, so you just weave it in how it makes the most sense to you. Okay, and then we'll hold halfway through here in our boat. So maybe your knees are bent. You can uncross your ankles if you like. Maybe your legs are lengthened. Maybe your hands are behind the legs and you're going to not lift and pull. Or maybe your arms are away from your legs. Relax through your face. Find your breath. Nice, and then come back into it. Cross your ankles and your twists, your rows. And then out of this core work, we're going to take Sphinx pose. You come all the way down to your belly, root into your forearms. And this is a nice restorative back bend. It's also a nice abdominal wall stretch. Lifting up through the chest, find length through the back of your neck. And if you'd like, we'll take a twist in our neck, taking your gaze across your left shoulder for a moment. And then across the right shoulder. We could let the weight of the head just hang heavy as you lift up through your shoulders, kind of like you're doing cat in your upper back. And then relax into beach pose. So just lay your chin down or your forehead down to your hands or to the floor. Pick your feet up in space, and then we'll start to circle out the ankles, windshield wiper the legs. So get into your knee joints, get into your low back, get into the ankles and the feet and the toes. If you want to stay here to be more restorative, fantastic. If you'd like to move into a little more intensity, Dhanurasana is right here for us to take. This is bow pose. So we just grab the tops of the feet, and then your knees will want to flare wide. You want to keep them in at hip bone distance. Thighs press down, legs kick back, arms pull taut, chest lifts. Eventually thighs also lift, and then find the length through the back of your neck. And your breath is kind of like that canary in the coal mine, right? If the breath cuts out on us, we've gone too deep. So we want to have the breath here. We're in these poses to breathe. So it's not about how far we can push ourselves. It's about how we can go into it with the breath. And then when you're ready, just release down. And our meetup is downward facing dog. And again, from your belly, you can either move through plank or tabletop to get to down dog. Once you're in down dog, right leg pulls back and up into a three-legged downward facing dog. And then open the hip and bend the knee. So drape the toes down to the left as the knee lifts up tall in space. And what you're doing with that leg right here is we are creating a scorpion tail with that leg opening through the hip. Beautiful. On an exhale, just step the foot to the outside of your right hand. Once you've got the right foot outside of your right hand, we're moving into runner's lunge. And there's two different things you can do with your back knee. You can either keep it lifted or you can lower it down, maybe fold the side of the mat in. We're trying to get that right elbow as close to the ground as we can. And so it might be that you stay up on your hands and that's enough of a stretch for you on the inside of the right leg. Or it might be you shoot to your forearms. Maybe you're close but not all the way there. You can slide a block, sweatshirt, or blanket underneath the forearms. Or maybe you're comfortably on the forearms. The inside of the right foot might turn a little to face more to the front of the room. So just pivoting with your right heel, you might turn those right toes to face a little forward. The neck can relax here. We don't need to engage the muscles of the neck to lift the head up. And then the big thing that I focus on when I'm in here is the hips. So just watch that I'm not dropping the hips, in this case maybe more over to the left, that I'm picking that left hip up and I'm placing it into the pose. And that breath. Nice, friends. Find your low lunge position. And then we'll work into Ardha Chandrasana half moon. So the right fingertips are going to shoot out maybe 6 to 8 inches in front of your right foot. You can also use a block. We stand up on the right leg and then lift the left leg up like you're pressing to the heel to the wall behind you. And then like triangle, you're opening your wingspan so left arm is going up, stacking the shoulders here. You're pointing your left toes over towards the left wall. And then gaze could be over to the left side of the room. It could also be going up in space. Again, stay playful with your balance. Think about 1 or 2 more rounds of breath here. And then your release will just be back into that low lunge position. So we can bring that left foot down. To get into half pigeon, right foot just walks over to the left side of your mat. Drop the right knee over to the right so you have a 7 shape with your legs. Top of the left foot goes to the ground. You could spin your gaze over your left shoulder to line that left leg up behind you, directly behind you in space. And then it might feel nice just to lift up into this upward facing pigeon for a moment. Check that the right knee is to the outside of your right hand when you're in this upward facing pigeon. And then lower yourself down onto your forearms. Bring the forehead to a block or to your stacked hands or to the earth. More intense, for more intensity, the right shin is more parallel to the top of the mat. And for less intensity, you're angling it away from the top of the mat. The top of the foot or the side of the foot can be to the ground. And then we just want to watch that we're not sitting into that right sit bone. That we're pulling the right sit bone up on level, the right hip really on level with the left hip, so that the front of your left thigh is pointing straight down to the ground. And just that beautiful deep breathing. Nice, friends. Our meetup is in down dog, but if you'd like to first take a three-legged down dog, you can lift that right leg back and up, and maybe it can feel nice to pump through your leg or give a little bit of movement into it. And then once you're there, you'll draw your left leg up into three-legged down dog. So we're getting into the other side now. Find that opening to your scorpion tail, so your toes drape down over to the right as your knee lifts up tall, bending into that left knee. Nice, and then on an exhale, just work the foot to the outside of your left hand, so runner's lunge. Again, think about what you took on the other side, if back right knee lifts or if it drops down, if you're on your hands or your elbows. And don't be surprised if one of your hips feels tighter than the other. Again, weight of the head can relax out here. Feel the four corners of that left foot rooted into the ground. And just watch we're not rolling, dropping right hip down into the right. Feel like you're placing the right hip into the pose. And then from your runner's lunge, just work your way up into a low lunge position. If you're using a block for half moon Ardha Chandrasana, bring your block out in front of you, but then left hand either goes to your block or out in front of your right foot. Again, maybe 8 inches, right around there. And then we're lifting that back right leg up parallel to the ground, pushing your heel to the wall behind you, flexing your toes to the right. And then reaching that right arm up nice and tall in space, stacking through your shoulders. Awesome breathing. Last couple breaths. Okay, and then your low lunge, unwind. That leads us right into half pigeon. So left foot walks over to the right, left knee drops to the left, top of the right foot to the ground, leg directly behind us. If you take that press to your upward facing pigeon, your left knee is over to the side from your left hand. And then when you're ready for it, you're just lowering down to your block or your head down to your hands or to the ground. And then as you press back up to your hands and unwind to our last downward facing dog, you're welcome to make it a 3-legged down dog for a moment to bring some blood flow back into that left hip, back into that left leg. Finding your last downward facing dog. And then bringing your knees down to the ground, dropping one of your hips to the floor, swinging your legs forward in space. If you need to add any layers of clothing on before we go down to our back, feel free to take care of what you need to take care of. But when you're ready to make your way down with your feet planted to the earth and your arms extended, just try using your core strength to do more of a vertebrae by vertebrae roll down here. Head is the last thing that comes down, and then we are pretty much ready for a bridge pose. You just need to step your heels in until your fingers can brush your heels. That takes the heels directly underneath the knees. Position the feet at hip bone distance on parallel, and then press your triceps to the ground, bending your elbows at 90 degrees so your hands are reaching up. Shoulder blades step in closer to one another, and then press into the feet, elbows, shoulders, and the base of the skull as you draw the hips up in space. And as the shoulder blades continue to kind of come in a little closer, they're making this nice shelf for your heart. Use your breath. And if there's, of course, there's a lot of variations with your arms in bridge. So if there's another variation you want to take, feel free to grab it. And then if your eyes are open in bridge and your gaze is up towards your belly, it's one of these poses where we can see what a diaphragm breath looks like, which Ujjayi breathing is a diaphragm breath, that deep singer's breath. You can see the rise and the fall of your belly. And then on the next exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, just release down into the ground. Find a happy baby, so knees can come in towards your shoulders, and then the peace sign fingers to your big toes, or the hands to the inside or outside edges of your feet. Bottoms of the feet shine to the sky, ankles stacked above the knees, head relaxed, and you can have some side-to-side movements. And you're trying to get the low back down into the ground or as close as it comes in happy baby. Send your left leg flat out in front of you. Reach your right leg straight up in space. Take your hands behind your hamstring and just give a roll out through your ankle. And then bending the right knee, take your right hand to the outside of the right knee and open the right knee off to the right. So hinge the knee open. Won't be here for very long. And you can for sure extend the right leg out from there if you want, or keep the knee bent. From the hinging open, we'll move into kind of the opposite of that, which will bring us into a spinal twist. So your left hand will grab the outside of the right knee and then pull over to the left. You can roll your hips to the outside edge of your left hip. Right arm reaches to the right. And then we twist from the tailbone through the crown of the head. Your gaze also goes to the right. Right shoulder draws down towards the floor. And in the twist, the inhale just needs to work a little against the twist to come in. And then when the exhale comes, your body just naturally releases into it. Nice, friends. Release out of the twist. You're flat on your back. Right leg's now out in front. Start to extend your left leg up tall. Slide your hands back behind the hamstring. Just give a roll out through the ankle. Move through your toes. Move through the arch of the foot. And then you can bend left knee and just support the outside of that left knee with your left hand as you open to the left. You could also even grab on the inside of the knee and give a gentle pull down. You can extend that left leg if you want. And then we just pull this into that spinal twist just when you're feeling complete. Right hand drawing left knee over to the right. Find the outside edge of your right hip. Reach your left arm out to the left. Take your gaze out over your left fingertips. Left shoulder moving towards the floor or pressing into it. Beautiful breathing. Take that last, exhale, twisting all the way down to empty. And then whatever movement you need before we move into our final resting pose, Shavasana, a simple one is just drawing your knees into your chest, wrapping your arms around your knees, and giving yourself some side-to-side rocking. And as you move into your corpse pose, your Shavasana, add any layers of clothing on that you need to, or if you want to cover your eyes with something, you can cover your eyes with something. We just want to set our bodies up in comfort. And then we just want to allow the weight of the body to relax. You can close through the eyes. And then you can let go of controlling your breath, and at this point just allow your body to take back over on the breathing, take back over on the inhales, let the body take back over on the exhales. Ekon kara satinam karita punik nirabho niraver akal murit aduni sebhanguru prasadje Aresech, Jungaresech, Heavy Sech, Naniki Hosibi Sech. Ekongar Satinam Karita punik nirabho niraver Akal murit Ajuni Sevhanguru prasadje Arasech Jugairasech Hebisech Noniki hosibisech Vekunkar satanam Karita purik Nirabo niraver Akal munit Ajuni Sevhanguru prasadje Arasech Jungarasech Hebisech Noniki hosibisech Noniki hosibisech Ekonkara Satinam Karita purik nirabho niraver Akal murit Ajuni Sembhanguru prasadje Arasech Jugairasech Hebisech Noniki hosibisech So nice and slow, just start to bring some life back into your body. You can start by wiggling your fingers and your toes. And then we could grow this bigger to a full morning stretch, reaching from the front of the room to the back, rolling out ankles, rolling out wrists. Roll the weight onto your side into a fetal position, just curling up for a moment. And then make your way up to a seated position or whatever pose you'd like to end your class with. From your seat, find the front edge of the sit bones, pulling the flesh away or walking back. And then from the front edge of the sit bones, inhale to extend the arms wide and tall, just like you were in mountain pose. And on the exhale, bring your hands into your heart center. Let your thumbs relax to the sternum. You can bow your head if that feels right for you. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether it is clear to you or not, no doubt the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. The light in me greets the light in you. Namaste.